Hey everybody, it's Brett Benner and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stack, where today I am sitting down with author Justinian Huang for his new book, Lucky Seed. A little bit about Justinian. His debut novel, The Emperor and the Endless Palace, was an Indie Next pick and a 2025 Stonewall Honor Book. It was hailed by Booklist as a sweeping triumph and is page turning and deeply thoughtful in a starred review by Publishers Weekly. He lives in Los Angeles, where he also works as a film executive, most recently on the hit film K-pop Demon Hunters. Lucky Seed is Justinian's second novel. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Behind the Stack. Thrilled to be sitting down once again. We were just saying it's been a little bit with Justinian Huang for his, oh my God, balls to the wall, crazy, so entertaining, Lucky Seed. It's been described as a cross between Crazy Rich Asians meets Beef meets Succession, and I think it's pretty on the nose, actually. So, welcome back, World Traveler.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, I just know, yeah, World Traveler, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I just told you, I'm somewhere over the Atlantic right now because I just spent 10 days in Mumbai, India, which was such a bucket list for me, but also like just, it was exactly what I expected, but also exactly what I didn't expect, and chaotic, beautiful, colorful. The food was amazing.
Sounds really. So, when you traveled, mostly, do you plan this stuff with friends? Do you do it alone? Like, how do you do this? Because I noticed from your Instagram, you go a lot.
Yeah. I mean, after yeah, I was a corporate girly for so many years, as you know. Brad. I was like working for studios as a film exec. When I became an author and just had more free time, I was like, who knows how long this is gonna last? This crazy left
Mm.
turn of mine. I'm just gonna come from a place of yes. Whenever a friend says, "Come travel with us," I'm just gonna say yes. Since I've seen a lot of the world since I left my job and became a full-time author. Usually it's traveling with friends. There's a crew of tech bros that I travel with who, I don't know, were like the first 5 employees, the first 20 or so employees of Facebook. So they're just like insanely 0.01%
Wow.
wealthy, and
Wow.
I'm just there. I'm just the poor writer tagging along. It's like,
Right. Right.
here for the. I'm here with the vibes. Okay, I don't have the money, but I
You're
have
the
the
struggling
vibes.
artist. You're the
Yeah,
struggling artist.
exactly. I'm their charity case. But I've seen a lot of the world with them. I was just in Norway with them, where we went paddleboarding through the fjords, which was crazy because like a week before that, I was learning how to paddleboard, and all of a sudden, I was
Wow.
in the melted fjords, the melted glaciers of the fjords, with crazy headwinds, trying not to drown. But the most recent trip in India, my new boyfriend like invited me along on a work trip,
Mm.
and I don't know, Brett. I've always been the exec daddy. To finally be the work spouse to the exec daddy is like dream come true. You mean I can just
Wow.
chill in the five-star hotel and have cocktails while you go off and work? Yes, please. Like I was loving it. Yeah. So
Wow.
we were in Mumbai because he sells movie camera lenses. So he was hustling at the big expo there, and I got to see India. I got to see Mumbai, which apparently is not the city to visit if you want to tour India. It's very
Mm.
metropolitan, but we went to explore the Elephanta Caves off the coast of Mumbai, which were just so spiritual and beautiful. It's nice to tap into like really ancient traditions, like obviously, with my book, I
Yeah.
really admire like heritage and tradition, even though fundamentally I often disagree with the messages behind them. But it's so amazing to see where we come from, and those Elephanta caves were chiseled by hand out of a mountain, and to walk through that was just, it was very special. Yeah.
Wow. And then back, and then you're launching into this new book, and so very different in so many ways than your first.
It was like in a really different place when I wrote my first book, which was not meant to be published. It was like a diary. that got published, which is, by the way, I should learn not to say that sort of thing because like other authors don't like that story. Um, but I really did not mean for it to be published. It's such a time capsule of who I was in that moment. I was such a scared kid. I'd spent 5 years like working in China. I was running DreamWorks' Chinese studio in Shanghai. And when I came back home because of the pandemic, like I'd met so many amazing people, worked with so many amazing Chinese creatives, like seen all of Asia. But like the one thing that really got me was the boy that broke my heart there, you know? And then like I come back to America being like, oh, there's gonna be like a red carpet for me, but instead there was lockdown,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So to process all of it, I just wrote a book, just to see if I could. And then that was just given to a few people, and then one of those people gave it to Dan Milashewski at UTA. Here I am talking to you. Second book.
Wow. But did the writing of the first book kind of open a floodgate for you then of ideas, and because you were in a creative space even with DreamWorks in terms of content
Yeah.
creation. So you certainly were around, writers, directors, those kind of people. So do you feel that it was something I don't want to say preordained or predestined, but that would be kind of what your future would hold?
I wanted to be a writer always, but my
You did.
mom was, yes, but my mom was very pragmatic. My mom's an immigrant. She came to LA with nothing. She had me. The options for me achieving immigrant mom success, at least their definition one, got narrower and narrower because when I was a kid, I just loved to see her smile. So I'd be like, I want to be a surgeon, which is such an easy thing for a kid to promise their mom, right? Then when I was a freshman and saw that OChem classes were really early in the morning, I was like, no, I'm going to be a lawyer, mom. And then I took a practice LSAT, and I was like, hell no, I'm not going to study for this. This is like, I do not have the brain power for this. When I told my mom I wanted to work in movies, she was so depressed. She was like, well, how could like because like here's the thing, like China, well, we're Taiwanese, right? So, but like I use Chinese Taiwanese interchangeably, which has political, like there's some political iffiness about that, but my ancestors are Chinese, my parents are Taiwanese. Let's just put it that way. And a lot of our
Okay.
heritage comes from traditional Chinese heritage and stuff like that. But the Chinese way is you don't do anything, you don't do something new. Like you don't pioneer. My mom was like, we don't know anyone in the movie business. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're just gonna go off and do your own thing in the movie. That's so risky. I promised her that she was like, just don't be a writer. There's no money in that. I don't want to support you for the rest of your life. And I was like, that's fair, mom. So I was adopted by Linda Opes, the great movie producer who was Nora Ephron's producing partner for many years, and she took me under her wing. And she also told me, "Don't be a writer." She was like, "Work in development, be a producer." So yeah, and the type of producer I was I still was very collaborative. I loved storytelling. It's probably gonna get me in trouble with this, but a lot of the movies I worked on. A lot of the ideas behind them were mine. But here's what I need to have a huge caveat. I would say that the biggest movie I've ever worked on is K-pop Demon Hunters, which just came out.
Wow. Wow.
And that was very much the vision of those directors. I just worked tirelessly to crystallize their vision and fought really hard to crystallize their vision. And now it's like the biggest movie of all time. I'm having dinner with Maggie next week. Maggie Kang, who's the director of K-pop Demon Hunters. She's a director with the equally brilliant Chris Applehan's. But Maggie and I are having dinner in New York next week because she's being honored at the Time 100. Time 100, and it's Jamie.
Wow.
We're just like, it's crazy. It's nuts, but that's just the power of storytelling. When it hits, it really hits.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay, so you get this first post breakup book out that wasn't ever
Yes.
supposed to be out.
No.
So then when did Lucky Seed begin to germinate?
So the summer of 2021, right before Endless Palace sold, the matriarch of my mom's family, my mom's big auntie, um, uh, let's call her Roses. She summoned me to her house in West LA, and she told me, she was like, if you don't have a son and carry on our family lineage, everyone in the family is going to turn to the Hungry Ghost. And this sounds pretty preposterous, but I actually knew exactly what hungry ghosts were. I was raised by very superstitious people. Like my
Hmm.
family, like if you buy like a new apartment or a house, like a feng shui teacher comes through, walks through and tells you how to rearrange things and how to like make sure that, you amplify good luck, all these things. The irony is that we're also, well, at least my mom's family, they're all Christians, but they're also very superstitious. Like it's interesting, isn't it? Like the two things can coexist that way. So she sort of lobbed this onto me, and then she spiked it with a lethal promise, which was that my theoretical son would inherit all her money. And I never said yes, but I went home to just sort of like contemplate this request. But then my cousins heard about it because of like the family whisper network. And my aunties heard about it. My uncles heard about it. And like a full on family war broke out. And I was in the middle of it, even though I was the most passive of protagonists, right? I was literally Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland being my tumultuous Taiwanese clan,
Sure.
right? And eventually I did say no. I said no because Endless Palace sold. And I'll never forget Dan, my agent. Wow, Dan's getting a lot of shout outs today. I was talking to Dan, my agent, and I was like, Dan, what should I do? And Dan said to me, he was like, the Emperor in the Endless Palace, that's your baby. Like, why are you doing this? Oh gosh, my big auntie's gonna send someone after Dan now. I said no, and it, and then the family slowly settled, but I kept thinking to myself, damn, what a great premise for a book. Like, and its Succession had just ended, and I loved Succession.
Mm.
And there's been no successor to Crazy Rich Asians, and I really wanted to
Right.
write Crazy Rich Asians in America. And I also wanted to write a story that really understood Asian LA. Because there's different
Mm.
facets of LA, right? There's white LA, there's brown LA, there's black LA. I wanted to write like Asian LA, which is which is its own paradigm, you know?
Mm.
Like the uncle that's been exiled to Chino Hills, which is where, yeah, which is like a so wealthy part of town, but it smells bad there. Or the derelict cousin is in this slum in K Town, which probably K
Right.
Town's beautiful, but some parts of it are a little slow, but like, so I just wanted to write the LA that I knew, and I also wanted to, all these characters, the structure of this family in this book, the Sun Clan of Greater Los Angeles, the structure is actually somewhat similar to my mom and her family, but the characters, if anything, they're huge tweaks from the people that they might be inspired by.
We could say inspired by, or
Yes, we can say
loosely,
inspired, but
loosely
loosely
inspired
inspired.
by, allegedly.
Yes. I would say, there's a character in there named Wayward
Yeah.
who is sort of like me back in my corporate days, back when I was like very much like exec daddy, like I was saying earlier. But here's what, like, I've never had a drug problem, at least I don't think so. So, and then like I don't have an aunt that's in a sex cult. At least I don't think so. So, a lot of it was a lot of fun to just sort of make up these crazy characters. And then I think one thing I realized was I knew I wanted to write about a big family, and it became a necessity to give them extreme things that you remember them by. Otherwise, you don't, like, it's too many characters. You needed to give everyone sharp facets that you could remember them by. So that's why every person you're like, it's that, there's what Iris, literally her name, she's the one who sees through everything, You have the Lola, the badass motorcyclist. She's always holding a motorcycle. So I gave them each like a sharp facet that the reader could remember them because it was necessary. There are 20 different perspectives in this book, including the dogs. So,
Right. I love the dog. All right. So we've talked around it, but for our
yeah,
listeners or viewers, can you just give
sure.
you kind of have, but I want to give
Yeah,
people more distinct, like kind of elevator pitch for the book?
sure. Lucky Seed is about a wealthy clan, Asian American clan in West Los Angeles, who are very scared of their lineage ending because they believe they'll turn into hungry ghosts. And hungry ghosts is this superstition that literally billions of people around the world believe in. And by the way, is also exactly the same as Dia de Muertos in the Mexican tradition, which is that if you do not have descendants to remember you after you pass, you starve in the afterlife. If you don't have
Mm,
descendants, you starve. So this family is facing an existential crisis where they don't have any baby boys to pass on their family name. So the matriarch, Rose's son, recruits her favorite nephew, the former gay black sheep. Well, he's still gay, but the former black sheep, Wayward, who's now her protege. She recruits him to have a son. And similar to what happened to me, she spikes it with a lethal promise. This baby's going to get a lot of money. An inheritance drama breaks out, and a lot of infighting, scheming cousins, power struggling aunties, and a very sexy fortune teller in the mix.
mm. Um, okay, so no, wait, I have to ask you because
Yeah.
in the midst of all of this and with this book coming out, you've just become a dad.
So I become a dad do you know, actually, Brett, I have purposely not been counting down the days because it's so scary, but the baby's due around 11/13.
Yeah.
So we are less than a month away. We're 3 weeks away from me becoming a dad. Yeah. So
It's like the best publicity for the book,
I mean, it
actually.
wasn't planned that way at all. It was promise. It was my own promise. Like after I said no, I don't want to have this baby boy to carry on the family lineage, etc., because everyone's fighting. My mom was really sad, and I said to her, I was like, "Mom, just let me finish my second book. Let me establish myself a little bit more as an author, and then I would love, we should talk about because I had 9 embryos. We should talk about having a baby then. So now, just yeah, the timing is lined up, I think. But it's also much. My coping mechanism is to sort of like just pretend like it's not happening. Like I'm pretending like this baby isn't coming. I'm pretending like this book isn't coming, right? But it's happening, all right. It's happening. It's very surreal.
Well, yeah, you can't stop either one of them.
No,
Are you an only child?
I have a big sister. The book is actually dedicated to her, my big sister Cherise. It says, "For my big sister Cherise, who taught me how to play pretend."
Oh,
Yeah.
and you guys are close, obviously.
We're very close. We're very different. Incredibly different, actually. I don't think you can get much more different than we don't even look alike. She's very fair skinned. I'm dark skinned, you know. Like we do not look like brother and sister at all. But she's the one who, when I was a little kid, she wrote so much. She wrote poems all the time. She actually wrote 7 books before I ever wrote my first book. And I keep trying to like tell her to help me help her publish them, but I don't think she wants to. She just sold her first house as a real estate agent, so she's killing it. But we're very
Interesting.
different, yes. Like everyone in my family, we're all incredibly different people. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope I'm not spoiling anything here by saying you're
No.
having a baby girl, right?
Yes, I
And
am.
because that was the other thing that I was thinking about as I was going through this book. I was like, and now what you've said about your mom, how was that news received? It was like, okay, great. Well, we're just happy you're having a kid.
So the way we did it was we put a little boy and a little girl embryo. We put a
Mm,
little boy embryo, a little girl embryo into our surrogate, and the little girl took. And one of my favorite, probably one of those like joyous moments of my life was when I flew up to San Francisco because that's where my surrogate is, and we went to the ultrasound and we found out I was having a little girl because I really think I'm a girl dad. I'm terrible. I'm not saying I don't want to stereotype any like gender or whatever, but like I cannot throw or catch a ball to save my life. I have this recurring nightmare that like I give birth to like the most brotastic jock like I just feel like he's in me somewhere. So I don't even know how I would deal with that. I'm very excited for my little girl. I'm really excited for her to be whoever she wants to be.
so your life is not going to change at all, and
Right,
um, and
right.
uh, and I'll just Good luck with the girl. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck with the girl.
I'm gonna DM you for advice. Okay, she's
You
gonna
always
be
can.
she's born the year of the snake, and she's gonna be a Scorpio. So I have
Wow.
I have a joke that when she's angry at me, she's just gonna summon Satan. So yeah,
And what
I'm
are
gonna
you?
buckle up. So I'm a Capricorn and a Tiger.
Okay.
Very,
Wow.
which I'm very much those things. Yeah, I'm becoming less of a Capricorn now that I'm getting older. I used to be very ruthlessly ambitious when I
Mm.
was working in like corporate, like when I was working at DreamWorks and even Sony for a second. Like I was very ambitious and the thing about me is that I am very strategic. I read The Art of War when I was 8 and was obsessed with it. But here's one thing: like as I'm like entering an era in my life where like I don't need the things that I thought I needed. I just want to be able to care about the people I care about and provide them with a good life. That's I just
Yeah.
it's becoming simpler. Everything's becoming simpler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hopefully that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yes, I agree.
What I love about the book, I
Mm.
mean, besides a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
but it's so funny because you're right in that you have created these characters who are all so incredibly well drawn with these characteristics that are so individual and stand out. It's very easy to follow it in that regard.
Mm.
And yet, the other side of it is why I was kind of laughing as I was going through because some of it's almost like a satire, and yet everything kind of fell in line, like as broad and big as some of these personalities were because of the location. It did not, because of the Los Angeles of it all, it
Yeah,
doesn't seem that outrageous. All of these
yeah,
things exist. This
yeah,
cult, that's written in the book, like I kept thinking, those things exist. All of these places, all of these things are not so out there. And that's what I
yeah.
loved.
I mean, Los Angeles is the capital of woo woo. It's so woo woo
Yeah,
here. I mean, it's one of those places where you're at a party and someone takes out a crystal and starts stroking it and nobody bats an eyelash.
not at all. Not at
It's one of
all.
not at all. It's one of those places where you go to someone's home and they sage you first. Like no one cares about like that's why I think I really wanted to set it here. I grew up in Hacienda Heights, above the biggest Buddhist temple in the Western Hemisphere. Hacienda Heights is in San Gabriel Valley, and it's above this beautiful Buddhist temple. And like I grew up hearing nuns chanting in the morning and having the incense
Mm,
wafting into and my mom would walk our dog there around the temple, and the dog would just, my dog Daisy, a little beagle, would just bark at the sky. She never barked ever. She only barked at the sky over this temple, and my mom was like, "It's because she can see the gods there." To be raised in LA, there's something like witchy about LA that as
oh,
shallow as
100%.
right as shallow as the city is, it's also incredibly witchy. And yeah, this family is very witchy too, but in like this very interesting way that you don't quite usually associate with
Sure. Or maybe, see, I would almost argue even
yeah,
more so with people of privilege.
probably yes.
Because I think that that privilege, that level of wealth lends
Mm,
itself to, I mean, look at the Kardashians. Look at where we watch
that's
all these people who
true.
have these
Yeah,
certain, levels where they're doing the most bizarre and they get away with it.
yeah,
There's no excuse for
yeah,
excess. This is exactly what it is as we're watching our president destroy the White House to put it in a ballroom
yeah, yeah.
for
Literally,
himself and an arc
yeah.
to Trump,
That's
which is so
truly yeah.
crazy. Were you into? I know you said you liked Succession. Were you into the soap operas? Were you into the
Oh yeah,
telenovas? Were you into? Were you?
oh yeah. I love them. So I grew up watching Chinese palace dramas with my grandma, and this book is essentially a palace drama. A palace drama is always like everyone's trying to give birth to the next emperor, to the emperor's son. And then it's all these concubines scheming and their eunuchs poisoning each other. Like that's essentially just this book. This book just is that, except set in modern day West LA. So I grew up watching palace dramas. Chinese palace dramas are amazing. If anyone wants to check one out, check out Story of Yanxi Palace, Yanxi. Palace. It's on YouTube. You can just watch it for free. It is spectacular. It's just gorgeous women scheming and plotting against each other. It is just the best. It's about those shows are always about female brilliance. And the thing
Yeah.
is that like when I was, I discovered something writing Lucky Seed because there aren't a lot of women in The Emperor and the Endless Palace, my first book. Lucky Seed is full of women, and I've discovered I like writing women way more than I like writing men. And so like and I love writing brilliant women. Like I have to take something back. There is one character that's quite similar to the counterpart. Like the character of Iris is very similar to my mom. My mom is the smartest person I know, but she keeps all of her brilliant deductions to herself. Like
Mm.
she always knows exactly what's going on, but she won't say a word. So similar to Iris, she's that way. But then like it's so much fun. I was always wondering like what is my mom thinking? But it was so much fun to write a character inspired by her, where you know exactly what she's thinking, right? Because it's like a godlike narrator who just sort of knows everybody's motives and sort of weaves you in and out of their dynamics. So I also loved Desperate Housewives. Loved it. I was a teenager when it first came out. I was watching it. I was like, I want to be this type of gay, like the type of gay that writes things like this.
Yeah.
Um, and and yeah, like I just recently watched this Hunting Wives on Netflix
I haven't
about
watched it, but
Matt.
yes.
Have you
Yeah.
watched it yet?
I haven't watched yet, but I have to watch it. But I've
It's
heard
about
so much of,
it's
yeah.
about MAGA lesbians. Like it is
Yeah.
wild, and it is like softcore porn, and there was just something so sexy about it because it's just like this is completely not what we expected. I I think Lucky Seed is fun too because like my first books, a lot of people were like, "Why is this book so spicy?" And I feel like people thought that because they saw it was about Asian people, and Asian people typically aren't depicted as very sexual beings, right? So, but I was pretty unswayed by that. Like this, Lucky Seed is also about a bunch of spicy Asian people having, the Asians behaving badly. So I'm very inspired by soaps for sure. And I quote two people at the beginning of this book, which is Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, and Jackie Collins, who was like my hero growing up. I loved Jackie Collins growing up, like
I did too.
Lucky
I did too. Lucky Santangelo.
Chances.
Yes.
Yes, Lucky Santangelo. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, like by the way, her books, they're a vibe to read. Now there's some parts she's like, oof, I don't know. I don't know if this is, but let me tell you, she was so ahead of her time and she wrote powerful women. What I loved about her is she also had sprawling casts and you just dipped in and out of various fabulous spots in LA. So in some ways, Lucky Seed is me in Jackie Collins drag. So it was a lot of fun.
That is
It
that is the
really
quote of the
is.
day.
I
That is
mean,
the
it
quote of
really
the day.
is. Think about it. It's me writing a soap opera about a wealthy family in LA.
And
Um,
what you do really well is this is like taking a ride on a roller coaster where you rev up and you're laying everything out and it starts very kind of measured. And then
mhm.
it's about like at a little beyond the halfway point, it gets bat shit crazy. And there are so many things that start to happen, as well as all the machinations and all the reveals and that's when I was like, oh, and we're throwing that into okay. And um of course I'm not gonna it would be a crime to spoil anything. And I don't even like when people say, just you wait, because then I sit there and turning for the thing. But there are plenty of those reveals that make it so fun and so compelling. And
Thank you.
did you, when you went into it, did you
Yeah,
know that, okay, I'm going to do these certain things or I want to have these twists? Or did characters start to reveal themselves as you went through?
half and half. So the big twist that you and I know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that big twist, that breaks us into part four. That twist I always knew, but my favorite twists I discovered as I was writing, and it's because the characters told me that's what needed to happen to them. I just did a lecture about twists for like a writer's workshop, I think. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of things, Brett. It's all sort of melding together. But And I realized that I was trying to distill what makes a great twist in literature, and the number one thing I've realized, well, at least for me, is that a great twist needs to feel emotionally earned.
Mm.
It's there's so many. Let me tell you, I love all those silly twist books now that are so popular. I actually listen
There's
to
so
them.
many of them.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah,
many, and then, by the way, they're fun to listen to on a plane, like whatever. But I really love a twist that's like a gut punch and just makes you question everything you thought you had read, and just like it's like
right.
a fundamental rewiring of the world you thought you were in, and is earned emotionally, and it changes the person that you thought you knew. It's almost a great twist is like a beautiful betrayal, you know?
You want a
So
Sixth Sense twist.
I want a Sixth Sense twist. Yes, I want a Sixth Sense twist. I don't want a Signs twist. We're gonna get into the M. Night Shyamalan of it all. I
Or you
don't
could have
want
just
like
said,
the
you
aliens
could have
were
just said,
allergic to water twist. They like traveled
right,
2 billion light years to a planet
to a
full of
planet
water.
that's
Yeah,
right. And
I
they
don't
were like,
want that twist.
fuck, wrong turn.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
literally. Exactly. I want Bruce Willis realizing he's dead and he remembers he's at the dinner table with his wife and he tried to pay for the check and she'd snatched it back. And in that moment we thought she hates him. She won't even let him like pull out the credit card to pay for it. No, it's because she was mourning and he wasn't there. Like we want
Yeah.
that gut punch, you know?
And sorry for the five of you that are 25 too late and it still did not see the movie.
Can I tell you something terrifying, Brett? So many
Yeah.
people have not watched the early M. Night Shyamalans now. My boyfriend is, so I'm 38. My boyfriend is 30, and I just recently showed him Death Becomes Her for the first time.
Oof.
That's horrifying, right? He's only 8 years younger
And
than me.
and by the way, it just came up for you again because it's a Broadway show now.
Oh yeah, listen, now we have to go watch it. But yeah, for sure. I mean, that's yes, but
I
anyways,
actually
let's not
I saw the Broadway show and I like the Broadway show. It's better than the movie is. So
stop, really? I need to
it
watch it
really
then.
is.
Oh,
It
I
just
can't wait.
it's literally, and I'm not even prejudiced. My friend Marco wrote the book, but I'm not even prejudiced because of that. It's just very,
Mm,
it's fun. I mean, it's you'll have a great time. It's hilarious.
I can't wait. I'm putting that to my to-do list.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. Put that on your to do list when you're not taking
Yes.
care of your daughter, because again, life isn't going to change at all. Was there a particular character that you just absolutely loved writing above the others?
I really loved writing Sunburn and Shannon. So
Mm,
they are like so this family, the Sun Clan, they're notoriously private, except for Sunburn, who was like an Abercrombie and Fitch model when he was young, and his Asian baby girl girlfriend. Now, I've always wanted to write an Asian baby girl. It's a very specific subculture. It's as rich as like what Chola is to like brown communities, right? Asian
mm.
baby girls to us Asians, they're such a they're like those. You've seen them around, Brett, even if you don't know one
Oh
personally.
yeah,
They're the Asian girls with blonde hair. They might have blue contact lenses. They're holding the boba, and they just look cunt, in like in the
yeah,
gay complimentary way. All right, they just look amazing.
yeah. I lived next to
And
Koreatown in Hancock
yeah,
Park. I lived in Lark, yeah, so I was right there. So I saw them
exactly.
all. Yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah, they're walking around in their mini skirts and eating at like the best Korean spots in town, being driven
Mm.
around in their boyfriend's Acuras. It's a vibe. So they were so much fun to write because they were just funny. And my editor was like, we were so surprised that you can write funny. And I was like, yeah, I was too. Because Endless Palace is not that funny. There's a few lighthearted moments, but I don't
But
know.
you're
I
funny.
was,
But you're funny.
thank you. But that doesn't always trend. I think I'm amusing at best. I think that for me, this book was so therapeutic for me because as you now know, like I wrote it during a time when it came out of a lot of strife for me and my family. Like I wasn't talking to my mom for a second, and I'm like such a mama's boy. So I needed to laugh when I wrote this book. So Sunburn, who started out as kind of a very toxic, mean guy, just became so lovable, and he's like he's a himbo. He's like a sweet
Yeah,
simpleton.
yeah.
So I love writing Sunburn and Shannon. They always make me giggle. They have some lines that I'm just like, oh, that was funny. They just came alive in my head, you know?
Is this being adapted?
I can't say.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Okay.
say, but I can't
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
But you know what that means.
Okay. We'll just say that is, interesting. Watch the trades and see if something happens. So,
Oh,
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. You know, Brett, you've been in this business a long time too. It's not even real after it's even after you filmed and cut the thing, it's not necessarily real because they might not even
No.
platform the thing now, you know? Um,
Yeah.
for me, for me, I'd love to see this be turned into because I think right now messy families are having a moment, you know? Messy families are having a moment, and I'm thinking it's like uh, I was trying to analyze why that is that like the soap opera has made a huge return. It's specifically about family dynamics, and I think it's because we feel like we're in a messy family. Humanity feels like a messy family. Being American feels like a messy family.
Oh,
You know, right? Like you feel like you're like trapped with all these people that you just like you're supposed to get along with and you're supposed to understand each other because I always say that we're all the same person trying to love ourselves. You know, like why can't we give each other a hand?
yeah.
So I really wanted to write people who are going through that, like people who just need a hug but are
Well, and it's
incapable of
also,
opening their hands.
yeah, but it's also great escapism. And there's also a Schadenfreude
Yeah.
that happens about watching people who have excess trip
Yeah.
up,
Yeah,
and all of these things kind of happen. But
definitely.
I do have to say kudos to you. They're lovable. They're not like
Thank you.
even in their hatefulness, but it's the same reason why, like, listen, as a kid who grew up on Dynasty, why
Mm,
everybody was obsessed with
Dynasty.
Joan Collins,
Oh
because you
yeah.
know because it's the baddie you love, and you love to see
Yeah.
what's going to come out of their mouth and what twists they're going to pull out of there. And
Absolutely.
that's what this is. That's what the fun of this is that there's heart to it, and there is a center to it, but it's also getting to that end where really anything can happen.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You are like my audience. I wrote this book for
For
basically you,
white,
Brad. So
for
yeah,
yeah, for elderly gay men.
yeah. Forget yes, absolutely. For those like I did not mention Dynasty. That is a crime. I loved Dynasty growing up, and you're right. But another thing about Joan was that she was brilliant. Like her character was brilliant. Alexis
Alexis
Carrington.
Carrington, yes,
She
Alexis
was
Cooper,
brilliant.
yeah,
You couldn't help. You can't like. That's the thing about writing a fun villain is that if they're brilliant, they're very rootable
yeah,
because we
yeah.
admire smart people. So I like I don't want to give too much away, but there's characters in this book that at first seem like they're not the brightest, but they're actually quite brilliant. And
No,
that was
and that's what the fun of it, and that it makes you as a reader begin to question everyone and everything
yeah.
in terms of motive, and that's a testament to you, because it's a trip up, because you think, who do you actually trust?
Oh,
So
thank you,
in terms of
thank you,
following,
thank you,
um,
thank you,
it's really fun. People go out and get the book.
thank you.
Who's doing the audio? Do you know?
Tully Leung does
Oh
the
my god, I
audio.
love Telly.
Who is the new Phantom on Broadway, right? There's a new Phantom rendition where there's like a bunch of phantoms. He's one of the phantoms. He does 20 different voices. He does wild accents. He just has it's just like the most fun campy narration you can imagine. It is so I'm when I heard it, I was just like I was floored. I just thought it was the most fun narrate. He has a ball with it. You can tell he's having a great time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
I love him.
me
Well,
too.
everybody buy the book, buy Independent if you can, please. Justinian, as always, you are a delight. Congratulations on Mick. I'm so
Thank you,
excited for
Brett.
you, not only for this baby, but for your real baby and everything
Thank
that's going to
you.
come. It's really, really exciting.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate that very much.